Welcome to Trends on Thursdays, where I'll tell you about the trends I discussed with my clients this week. This week I'll talk about CrossFit, automation, analytics, and the supply chain. First up, CrossFit, yes, the fitness people, announced that they're basically opting out of Facebook and all related platforms, which presumably means Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. While a lot of businesses have perhaps thought about that a few times when they get really upset about what's happening on Facebook, what apparently sent CrossFit over the edge is Facebook banning a meal planning group with 1.6 million members and then eventually restoring them. Whether boycotting Facebook really makes a difference isn't really the question here. I do think this is a great example for a conversation that comes up again and again. Take your customers to your own platform. You might spend $1,000 or more than $1,000 a month on Facebook or any social media platform for that matter, but that doesn't mean that they can't delete your page, ban you, or somehow make you go away. And this seems to be hard for people to understand, I think partially because we all help build social media into what it is today. In the same vein, be careful what you respond to, even if it looks like an access request from Facebook. There's a scam going around that can cost you your page. If your page gets compromised or your account gets hacked, it might take weeks or months to get it back, if ever. Also, there isn't really a customer service number for you to call unless you're spending a bunch of money, and sometimes interactions can be a little hit and miss no matter what. But in their defense, they do have 2 billion customers to deal with. Next up, automation can be a huge time saver, and that's really not news. I have, however, been involved in more and more automated team communications, and that can be a game changer. For example, if you're working with teams, Slack might be part of the solution. If you're not familiar with Slack, it's basically a team communications platform where I can create different channels with the team members that need to be in on a particular conversation. For example, the sales team doesn't need to be included on back-end chatter and so forth. So to make it even more useful, you can also tie other functionality into your Slack channels via automation tools like automate.io or Zapier. Think of it this way: when a client sends an email or makes a request, that information can be routed to the entire team at the same time via Slack channel in order for everyone to be aware. Someone signs up for an offer or pays via Stripe, you send a broadcast to the fulfillment team. You get a voicemail, let the intake team know. And of course, automation doesn't just stop at if A, then B. We built a logic on top of a Google form the other day that decides if to put an event on a calendar or to send an email while keeping track of the whole process in a spreadsheet, all based on the answers in the Google form. If decisions are clear, they can often be automated. We have a client that has a huge automation sequence to pre-fill information into forms, send a few emails, and get info to vendors. It gets rid of the daily tasks that are truly mind-numbing and frees people up to do more important things. Next up, if measuring isn't part of your marketing strategy, it probably should be. According to the latest research by Google and Bain, top marketers, and they use the word mature, I guess I prefer seasoned maybe. Anyways, the top 100 marketers are 4 times more likely to exceed goals than the bottom 100 in their study. They're also more than twice as likely to use automation in metrics that pertain to the business. For example, award-winning videos are great, but how many through plays are you actually getting? The number of engagement matters, but are they leading to sales or phone calls or downloads? I see it all the time. We're getting great results from our social media campaigns, except for we don't see any sales. I hear it from potential clients all the time, which is a problem since that's what pays for your social media campaigns, and often people focus on the wrong metrics. Likes instead of conversions, comments instead of website visits. And by the way, Facebook will ask you all those things, like what you're trying to accomplish. It's up to you or someone that's handling your marketing to define these goals, measure how you're doing, and then decide if you can do better. And by the way, the study also found that there is no perfect way to get it done. So define some metrics, start measuring, and your budget and your bottom line will thank you for it. One more, with the current state of affairs internationally, supply chain management becomes more important than ever. Small businesses and entrepreneurs are often guilty of letting their supply chain run on autopilot because they're busy managing the output. Well, cost of goods are on the rise in many industries because they are ultimately tied to countries that we're not getting along with. Now, don't get me wrong, as a small business owner, there is little you can do about whether or not we're getting along with China this week. However, for your profitability, you need to know if your cost is still in line with what your prices are based on. Then you have weather-related increases in prices for produce or proteins for the restaurant industry, for example. 2019 is volatile, and you need to keep your guard up and set alerts for key supplies so you're in the know if the price moves as soon as it happens. That's it for this week's Trends on Thursdays. I hope as always you found this useful. I'll be back Monday. I'm Tobias Wilhelm.